Okay, here we are. Alt.nerd.obsessive. Worst episode ever.
Hey everybody, welcome to Worst Episode Ever, a podcast for people who love The Simpsons, by people who love The Simpsons, about how much we hate The Simpsons. We're here trying to find which is the worst episode ever. And as always, my name is Dan.
And as always, my name is Jack.
And we're here, we're doing one of our rare night podcasts. We do these sometimes.
Well, it's not even that late.
It's not, well,
it's just dark and miserable now.
It's 7:30 when we're recording this, and it's pitch black outside.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Which used to be getting dark at 9, but, you know, time marches on. The sun, the moon, the supermoon.
Man, I told everybody about the supermoon. Like
it was a little disappointing,
and I fell asleep. It was too late. I was like, come on, let's get this show on the road.
Yeah.
And then I woke up like briefly at like 11:30 at night, and I saw like just a little bit left. Like I'd already passed by.
Yeah.
Just like nuts.
We checked it out, but it was very cloudy last night, so
that makes me
couldn't
feel
see
better.
a lot. So you didn't miss out much. And speaking of not missing out on much, today's episode is the season premiere of season 27.
It's French for season premiere.
Yes, we're actually recording this on Monday, so it aired last night, which was September 27th, 2015. And normally I would ask Jack, have you seen this one? But I know that you have not.
We're gonna try to do that. We're gonna try to watch it together last night, but I had I went to a medieval Renaissance fair upstate New York.
At the Ren Fair.
I was dressed up as a beefeater. It was fun
you
times.
knave.
I was shocked at how many people were dressed up as Deadpool for some reason. Like there was one kid dressed up in full Wolverine regalia.
That's weird.
Yeah, like some stuff I understand. Like one guy was Ash from Evil Dead, and
okay,
that makes sense because
yeah.
And I like to bend the rules like that. I think that's fun. And there was a doctor that I think one of the doctors there, Doctor Who doctor.
It'll be hard to tell, especially with some of the older doctors.
Yeah, it was either 10th or 11th, I think. But so it's fun to come up with a costume like that. If I had any time or energy, I just rented one when I got there.
Right.
I would try to come up with something pop culture-y like that. I did briefly think about time-traveling robot, but I didn't want to get dirty looks from people. But I couldn't believe how many Deadpools there were. That's multiple.
That's odd, because as far as I know, Deadpool has never been in the Renaissance.
Yeah.
All right, but anyway, so we were talking about Every Man's Dream. It's the season premiere of season 27. And Jack hasn't seen it, and
you have though. You watched it.
Yes, I did see this. Some listeners, I was live tweeting this episode, which was a lot of fun. I think we might try and do that, the both of us, at some point later in the season. I don't think we can do it every week, but we'll do it when we can. And
we
we'll
do
let you guys know
we alternate going to Renaissance fairs.
Yeah, I'm going this
Sunday.
week.
You'll
so
go, and then
it's pretty great. I'm going to dress as Deadpool. You gave me a great idea. So that's it. Every Man's Dream, season premiere, much touted. And if you haven't seen it, I think it might actually be on Simpsons World, but it is definitely on Hulu.com.
If you own Hulu.
If you
not own the company Hulu.
If you own the company of Hulu, you can pretty much watch what you want.
I don't think it's for non-Hulu Plus.
Really? Not even not even with commercials?
No, I was trying to set it up, and it wasn't for... It said, no, Jack, you need Dan's password.
Okay, well, I will reenact the episode.
Or be owner of Hulu.
All I got to do is purchase Hulu for $1.5 billion
to watch this. I've heard terrible things.
To watch this fantastic premiere. But no, you can do it somewhere online and check out our website, wepodcast.com, and click through our Amazon links and all that fun stuff we'll talk more about later in the show. For now, we're going to take a break, and I'm going to rewatch this wonderful episode, and Jack's going to see it for the first time.
So I can't date an older man, but your girlfriend can.
She's not my girlfriend. Candace and I don't use labels.
Doesn't look like she uses that much shampoo either.
Lay off my girlfriend!
So, that was Every Man's Dream.
Or was it?
Or was it?
We'll get there.
Start of season 27, season premiere.
Or is it?
And our season premiere, if you want to count it.
Every 50 episodes is a new season. Let's just say it. Let's just say that.
Actually, let's just say the first 50 episodes were practice.
Yeah.
I think we're just starting to get
the hang of it. This is the first episode of the real podcast.
First episode ever. Quick plot recap, I guess. Oh, jeez. All right.
Yeah, where to begin? At which level of inception do you go here?
All right. So Homer has narcolepsy, and he gets prescription drugs for it. And he's using the narcolepsy as a crutch to not do any chores, which drives Marge crazy. They go to marriage counseling. And then in marriage counseling, fuck it. It was a dream starting from there. Wait, no, was it?
Well, no, literally everything that happens is a dream.
Okay, all right. Let's work backwards. All right, so
Okay, Lena Dunham has a successful show on HBO.
and her character on Girls is having a
Yes.
dream, and she's dreaming that Marge is dreaming that up until I said now they're in marriage counseling.
That
So
Homer was dreaming.
So now she's dreaming that Homer is dreaming a bunch of dreams within dreams, starting with that marriage counseling scene from somehow.
Yeah.
I don't even think that's accurate, but let's just start back from that marriage counseling scene. So now Marge leaves Homer. They get separated, legally separated, and Homer starts dating his young, cute pharmacist played by Lena Dunham, but not the same character as the girl's character that is dreaming the whole thing. This woman's name is Candace, and she's a pharmacist and a drug addict, and she
And a date rapist who drugs Homer.
she does a date. I heard
She
this date
puts it
rape
in
rumor.
his
Yeah,
drink.
but he sees it. And
Wow.
he willingly drinks it. That's like saying somebody handing you a marijuana stick. And I'm just making this motion
you
to you.
are.
I'm just.
You're miming handing me a
I'm either
stick.
miming handing you a marijuana stick, or I'm just being very Italian right now. I'm just like, yeah, take the marijuana stick. Anyways,
I guess that's a fair point. That's a fair point.
I read a few things about this. That's the only thing I read about this episode before I got to watch it
Right.
today on Twitter and whatnot. It was the date rape.
Mm-hmm.
She did not date rape him. He saw it. They were both willingly doing drugs together.
That's true.
But
Luckily, it was a dream within a dream within a dream.
And like I know, prescription drugs isn't the same as like cocaine or heroin because
No, some of them are worse, in fact.
Yeah, I know. It's a gray area. All right. So for better or worse, Homer is doing drugs.
Okay.
So anyway, they start dating. Marge is dating that woman's father, who asks Marge to marry him. Homer,
It doesn't matter.
So, yeah.
None of this matters.
So then Homer wakes up from the first dream, and then he
Goes back to the other dream.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter. That was the episode.
I'm sorry, they broke me. They broke me. I can't.
You broke my co-host. Damn you!
I'm just gonna like be in a mental hospital doing this weird Italian
Handing
marijuana
me a
stick
marijuana
gesture.
stick. Whatever a marijuana stick is.
You know, a doober.
Adjourned.
The Chronicles.
Okay. Yeah. So I think you've recapped enough. You've
Yeah.
done enough damage to yourself.
Basically, Homer and Marge get separated. It obviously turns out to be a dream, but the fake plot is Homer is dating a younger woman,
Right.
which we'll get into. That could have been a cool idea.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So before we even get into everything, I want to turn back the clock to June when Al Jean was first talking about
June
this
1984.
episode. June
I'm a
1984.
baby.
Jack's the
Gaga
baby.
goo goo.
Gotta love him.
Not the mama.
Stay tuned for our Dinosaurs podcast. Bum, 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 bum,
I
bum,
would
bum,
do
podcast.
the shit out of a Dinosaurs podcast. Do you remember the series finale?
Yeah, well, they all die.
They all die.
Yeah.
Come on,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
great.
For some reason,
Actually, it turns out to be a Lena Dunham dream. She's
true.
dreaming that the dinosaurs died.
for some reason, I have had a conversation about the Dinosaurs series finale like once a week for the past 2 months.
That's the most
It just
random
keeps coming up.
coincidence.
And also, if you really want to bother my wife,
My wife.
all you have to do is say to her, "I'm the baby, gotta love me."
Wait, can we call her right now? Can we call her and I'll just do it? What's she doing right now?
She would not like it. At
She
all.
would, let me call her.
She would not enjoy this. Because you remember,
Just
there-
go, honey, we're on air, and then I'll just start singing, I'm the baby, gotta love me.
No,
You're not gonna risk your
I'm not
marriage
gonna risk
for
my
a
marriage
great podcast
for this
bit.
Dinosaurs reference.
For our dinosaur podcast. But it's not just the finale. There was a great two-parter episode with
Yeah.
the two-leggers versus the four-leggers,
Yeah.
which was about racism. And even the word legger is like, yeah, like it was a dark for a children's show.
You're already, it's affecting me when you say
Yeah.
legger, like
The L word.
the L word, of course.
The L word, and not the
And
lesbians.
not the Showtime series about
there's-
lesbians.
It's nowhere to safe. But, yeah, there's no dinosaurs.
All right. So that's the end of the Dinosaurs talk. Jack, you can cut here. Where do we even go? Oh, yeah. I'm
so
turning
the
turning
theme
back
song,
the time.
right?
No.
Oh, okay.
Let's turn back the clock.
Turning it back.
To June of this year, 2015, when Al Jean, they first mentioned, like, in the season premiere,
Yeah, hyping
Homer
it
and Marge
up.
are going to get separated. And everyone freaked out, and we were kind of like, okay, that could be good. Like, we
Season
like
27,
experimentation.
comeback season.
Yeah, I mean, we've been saying for 51 episodes now, assuming we say this during this episode, but I'm going to say it right now, they should experiment a little bit more. this episode certainly is an experiment, but not exactly what we had in mind.
It's like the Stanford prison experiment. It
Yeah,
just
right.
ended
Just
with
torturing
with
everyone.
people tortured and feces everywhere.
And it had to be ended early. But no, he originally said, and I have a quote here, there's more to it than that, but by episode 3, everything's the same. I never said divorced. That implies finality. I was surprised people interpreted it
By
as a
episode
final
3,
move.
it's episode 2. Is gonna be more layers of dreams.
So here's what, originally reading that, I think the idea that I got, and probably a lot of people got, was it was going to be a little bit of a continuation in the story.
That's
like
what-
South Park has been
that's what the
doing the
rumor
past
was,
few
yeah.
seasons, where things actually matter
Right.
to the next episode.
Right.
Like it's a continuity as opposed
Right.
to
And what
just
I've heard,
resetting the clock
we
every
haven't
time.
proven yet. We heard the Elon Musk may have been like a 3-episode kind of arc.
Right, we haven't gotten there yet, but we've heard some things, and time will tell because the next episode hasn't aired yet.
Right.
Maybe it will somehow follow this episode up.
Yeah,
I don't think so,
I don't know.
since it turned out this entire episode was a dream that a character on
Right.
another television show was having. But
If
I
anything,
guess he
they
was
should
just.
they should have continued it on Girls.
Yeah.
Like, continue the plot cross shows like that
would actually
time
be
where
interesting.
there was a hurricane that hit Golden Girls, Empty Nest, and Nurses all at the same time.
Our audience is very familiar about the Guardians of the Miami crossover. So anyway, my point was, clearly we were led to believe this was going to be something different than it was, and I think the fact that it was all a dream reveal was probably the worst thing it could have possibly been.
I'm guessing the fact that it was all a dream made Al Jean feel safe in giving away a spoiler that you think you'd want to save something like that because it's such a great plot twist. But I guess the feeling was, no, let's try to bring in as many people as possible with this big loud thing, and I can spoil it because it's not really a spoiler because it didn't happen. And then the feedback was so unexpectedly negative. Then
he had to couch it a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. That's probably what happened.
So here's what Al Jean tweeted last night, which was on Sunday when this episode aired. He said, "Every man's dream to those who say it end. I saw it coming, and every comment I read, no one saw it coming. Thanks for watching. No one could possibly think of this terrible, terrible ending."
Nobody could expect that the episode where Homer was a narcoleptic and was falling asleep several times in the first act was all a dream. You got us, Al.
Oh man! So we got Gened.
I think somebody posted in either if you plug your trivia every episode, so I'm assuming our listeners are familiar, even if they don't go to trivia.
Yep.
But there's 2 Facebook groups that I'm a part of. There's the Brooklyn Trivia Facebook group, and then there's a
the
larger
nationwide trivia
nationwide
group,
one, which is much bigger, obviously. I feel like in one of them somebody posted this, but it could have just been random on my newsfeed. Somebody did like a series of still images of Marge, I think in the opening theme song in the supermarket where she turns quickly and her hair bends. Did you see this weekend?
No.
I saw it. I think I saw it this weekend. And it's like 30 frames of her hair waving and
I remember it used to
hand draw
move.
every single one, and then they show it in the HD era, and it's just like 3 still images because they're taking out the hand drawn. It's a computer algorithm.
Yeah.
And it just shows you how much is lost in the newer animation.
There's
like
a lot of
fluidity.
motion. Yeah, fluidity,
so her
perfect
hair
word.
is like just waving around, and it creates all these. I think there's tumblers and stuff of all the silly freeze frames of Simpsons characters because if you catch it on the right angle, frame, they have a very contorted, weird face. So there's pros and cons. Anyway, I noticed it in the opening of this episode where Homer's asleep and Sector 7G is on fire. So I guess I was going to talk to you about it, but if you didn't see it, it was just really interesting that how much is lost with this guy posted it. I don't know how accurate it is or if it was just for that specific scene. But the idea that when there's things happening compared to the old timey feel, we've said before it feels cruder and there's a hand drawn feel to it and we like it, and that's given knowledge. But I never really thought about the fact that there's more frames basically.
Yeah.
And that came to mind in the opening scene. Homer is asleep and Sector 7G is on fire.
Right.
And I just noticed how it's just boring.
It looked very flat.
Yeah, compared to say when he fell asleep in the living room.
Right. It
in
looks
season
more
3 or
dynamic
4,
because
yeah.
it's got that hand drawn feel to it.
Yeah, so
I agree with you.
I just want to point that out. I thought you would have seen it by now because it's your trivia.
I didn't.
But
I was busy. I got things to do. I got dinosaurs episodes to have conversations about. Marijuana sticks to distribute.
hey, I don't see it. I don't know why I keep doing it.
Who is this guy who...
You never like you walk through Washington Square Park and you have those guys just go, hey.
Yeah, I sure have.
Like I said, 7G's on fire. I like that, even though, like I just said, the animation was, whatever. I like that these guys come in, they start spraying it with the foam. I like that Homer uses the foam.
He makes a little pillow for himself.
Nice
I thought that was a little cute animation. Did you notice that everyone has iPhones in this episode?
I did. I'm sure I've noticed it before, but it was more apparent this time, I guess, because it played into a couple of different scenes and gags.
So, well, it's not even just that the Simpsons have smartphones, which in itself is weird to me as someone who has grown up with this show.
Right, but it makes sense because
it does make sense.
It takes place
they're
now.
ubiquitous now, and everyone
they
has
had
a
touch
smartphone.
tone phones in the early 90s,
Right.
and if this show had started 10 years earlier, they would have had rotary.
Yeah.
So, fine.
So it's fine. It's just
weird,
one of those weird, like, I'm an old man
But
type
you're
things.
saying, I can already tell,
But-
saying that you're offended
I
that they're all Apple or Apple products.
I watched this episode live. Okay, I saw all the commercials that ran with it. Okay, and I was like, "That's odd that Homer has an iPhone, and it's clearly supposed to be an iPhone." Hey, Jack, what commercial aired as soon as the episode
All
went
right,
to
I'm going to
break?
either say an iPhone commercial or the commercial for the Steve Jobs movie, or both.
It wasn't the Steve Jobs movie. It was an iPhone commercial.
I like that Jobs trailer where they use the opening Apple sound as like the Bwom. It's so stupid, but so somewhat effective.
Yeah, that's pretty good. All right.
Bwom!
So I'm saying it right now that Springfield is under an iPhone conspiracy.
You're biased because you're so anti-Apple.
I'm very anti-Apple.
You're very pro-Android.
I'm all
not
in.
just the operating system. You're just pro like Data from Star Trek.
That's right. Yeah.
C-3PO.
I love C-3PO. I can't wait to see him in the new Star Trek. Star
Buffalo
Trek.
Bucks.
Yeah.
It's the Data.
That my Data C-3PO's fan fiction is being filmed in our Buffalo Bucks movie with the robot devil.
And Iron Man. I don't know. I feel like a lot of TV shows and movies are heavy on the Apple, maybe more so than is realistic in terms of Apple to Android products. But I think it's because a lot of people in the industry use Apple.
Yeah, that's
computers.
true. Or Mapple if you're on the Simpsons.
Or Mapple.
But it's interesting that you say that because if you ever watch a show on the CW, Microsoft
I don't.
sponsors
I'm
a lot
an
of
adult.
them. Oh, you don't watch Arrow and The Flash and DC's Legends of Tomorrow premiering in January?
I watched 2 shows ever on the CW, and it was because they were on UPN, and they were the only 2 to
They
survive the
moved over.
crossover. That was Veronica Mars and Everybody Hates Chris.
Right. Well, those are 2 good shows. But if you watch other shows like Arrow and The Flash,
Again, I'm an adult.
excuse me, sir.
I'm just gonna troll you.
We are in
troll you the
your
whole episode.
studio recording a show about The Simpsons on a Monday night. I'm an adult. Don't adult me. You could be doing any number of
It's like
things
such
right
an
now.
important tenants association meeting happening right now
There is, yeah,
downstairs.
about the importance.
I have
of
to
our
do
good-
my Simpsons podcast. I can't try to get the gas leak fixed.
My point is they all use Windows phones, which like nobody in the wild uses. And it's always like, look at this Windows phone, Oliver Queen.
right.
And it's...
Yeah, so like Marge is on her iPhone and she's showing pictures of they're on vacation because Dr. Hibbert's asking what's wrong with, trying to figure out what's wrong with Homer. And so what did you think of Marge's vacation gag?
I don't remember what any of the pictures were except at the end when she's like, oh, that's just where I parked.
Well, I remember one is it's just various scenes of Homer asleep. And
Right.
one was him asleep while scuba diving, and he was hugging a purple octopus, which later, when he falls asleep, he hugs a purple octopus stuffed animal. So I thought that was an interesting, if pointless...
Like a call forward
yeah,
kind of thing.
Exactly.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't notice that. I do remember Hibbert goes, man, you people sure take a lot of vacations, which was kind of a whatever line.
And so Hibbert gives him a spinal tap, puts the needle in. There's a few gags in between there.
Yeah.
I really like that he takes out a gallon of spinal fluid, but only needs a drop from the
Right, he just
machine.
throws
and
away the rest.
I think that's it's a funny gag
Yeah,
because
I
of
thought that was funny.
what a serious thing a spinal tap is, and the idea that just
Yeah,
And
and
it's just-
I also liked it's a simple and obvious joke where he does the spinal tap and Lisa's like, aren't you supposed to give him an anesthetic first? And he's like, oh, yes. And he pulls out an even bigger needle and does it. It's an obvious joke, but it worked for me.
Yeah, it's just something the CW would do.
Did you notice? Well, I know you noticed because I pointed it out to you as we were watching it. It was more of a rhetorical question.
Well, that doesn't mean I noticed it.
There was a moment where Hibbert is talking to Homer in that scene where just off to the side, Bart puts a blood pressure, one of the
Around his
things you put
neck,
your arm in.
yeah.
He puts it around his neck and squeezes it, and he turns purple and then just takes it off.
Yeah.
It's
It was
just
a
this
very
really
quiet
weird
gag. It's
Bart doesn't make a sound. It's just this weird, like, off to the side.
yeah. You kept saying
thing.
like, look to the side, look to the side. I'm like looking next to the TV because I didn't know what you're talking about. It's funny because that's in frame,
Right.
But yeah, I guess because it's
Well,
it-
to the side of the television. I
Right,
guess I
right.
needed to say of the
but,
television.
but it's funny that you're so trained to look at the center of the frame that to you,
Right.
like you, it's almost like you think they're hiding it, even though it's literally there on the screen.
Well, it's not that they're hiding it. It's that it's in the side. It's
Right.
not the center of
Right.
the action.
Maybe
It's not the middle of the
Maybe
frame.
it is for people with widescreen TVs. Like it's a fuck you to full screeners. Like you
That's-
don't get to
that's
see
kind
that.
of what I thought it might be. Like, it's an extra gag if you don't have an HD TV yet.
Just
But like, everybody has HD TVs, and even if you don't, if you have a regular, the old
tube, cathode ray tube.
right with the 4x3, they now just shrink things. I think.
Yeah,
So you watch it.
I
in
don't
Letterboxd.
think they were actually trying to give extra jokes to the
I
widescreeners.
think they might have
but,
been the widescreeners.
But there's another gag there too. I want to mention real quick. Bart says, "Is it time to pull the plug, Doc?" And he starts pulling out all of the plugs in the wall to just
Right.
kill his father. Which, whatever, jerk ass Bart, getting worse than jerk
Jerk
ass
ass Bart
Homer.
really strong in this
Yeah,
episode.
but Homer is making fun of him off screen, and we mentioned this in a couple episodes ago with another newer episode where it's just like this weird like dubbed in audio where it sounds like it's dubbed in. Obviously, it's all dubbed. It's animation.
Yeah.
But it just he doesn't even sound like he's in the same room, and it's Homer just going, "Ha ha, wrong one. That was the TV. No, that was the other guy."
Oh, yeah,
And
that was-
And I noticed
yeah.
that they did it again, where later in the episode, Marge is groaning, and she goes, she's doing a groan, and she's doing it for a few seconds. It's an extended groan, and they do another Homer like voiceover, let's call it, where he just goes, "Ooh, this is a long one." It's like I don't like. I guess they're just trying to
Yeah.
cram more jokes in there, but it's so
None
awkward.
of
It doesn't feel
yeah,
right.
It felt off.
It's like that Ega. Remember Ega? We used to
The name written in blood.
we used to love watching this. It was like this
yeah.
bad '60s like caveman movie.
Yeah, with Richard Kiel.
And there's a great moment where the doctor, scientist, father figure yells at his daughter, "Watch out for snakes!" But it's clearly like some director, or maybe the actor is just, but he's just
It
yelling.
sounds
it
like he's
from-
in like an empty warehouse.
They're in the soundstage, and he's
Yeah.
clearly like just behind the cameraman, just yelling the line. And,
Yeah.
and it's just the audio is way off. And he's just like, "Watch out for snakes!"
Yeah.
That's what all these Homer lines sound like.
I think they did that in a somewhat famous Mystery Science Theater. So yeah, Homer is diagnosed as narcoleptic, and Dr. Hibbert gives him a note that says he's narcoleptic and he can use it to get out of things, which Homer obviously starts abusing. And when you were recapping the episode, you actually said that he does it too much and Marge gets mad at him, which I think was giving a lot of latitude to what actually happens in the episode.
All right, well, this is a larger point I wanted to make before
Sure.
it all fell to shit. It was all dreams.
Yeah.
I actually liked that Marge breaks up with Homer. The straw that breaks her back isn't like this big loud event, which is usually what it is. Like
Really?
Homer sells the secrets in
Yeah,
this
yeah,
adult
yeah.
class, or the walrus, whatever
Manatee, whatever
one.
it was.
It's always like some big. Oh no, it was actually
Oh,
he was
it was
shooting
the
porn.
porno in the house. Yeah,
so it's
yeah,
always
yeah,
some
that's
big
pretty bad.
event, and I liked. It was more realistic. To me, a commentary on jerk-ass Homer that it was Marge doesn't want to be with jerk-ass Homer because Homer taking advantage of his narcolepsy and not getting out of every chore possible, that was jerk-ass Homer. And like I like that it wasn't he did this big thing and the house collapsed or he blew up the nuclear power plant. It was she's just sick of him acting the way he's been acting the past 15, 16 seasons. And I like that a lot. That's couched in a lot of footnotes and
Right.
and asterisks is there in that I don't want to see Homer and Marge break up.
Right.
And it's a dream and a million other ones. But I like if they were to get a divorce, I like that it was like, fuck you, Homer jerk ass. I don't want to be with you, and I don't
Right,
care.
I'm just tired of it.
I'm sick of it.
So I came into this recording, haven't seen this episode twice, thinking, why didn't they do more? Like Marge, pretty much just out of the blue is like we're getting a separation.
Right.
You kind of made me like that a little bit more. Like maybe you're right, it didn't need to be yet another thing that Homer did because they've done that so many times.
Right, and like if it was kind of just an anticlimactic, you're done within the context of the episode, I would agree with you.
Yeah.
But it really, I don't know, I
Well,
liked it more as a commentary on 15 seasons of jerk-ass Homer.
I do think they could have called a little bit more attention to it. It is
Yeah.
very, very quick. It just happens like they go to marriage counseling. It's like, well, maybe we should have a separation. And there's Homer's packing his bags and is gone.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a
she
dream.
even says it out loud at some point. And I was like, oh man, that makes my point. I was ready to make this point in the show. I was like, oh, if they say it, then I don't look as smart.
Then I got nothing.
But no, it's at some point she says it's because he's like, but I didn't even do anything big. He says something like that.
Right, yeah, he does.
He says, I'm sick. Aren't you gonna take that serious? And she's like, you didn't take it serious enough. And
Right.
And that was kind of what I'm saying. Not really, but it's an example of she's basically calling him out for being a jerk ass.
Right. So I think it is an interesting overall, like, kind of meta-ish point, but I think it's undercut a little bit by the fact that ultimately these are all just dreams, and it's not even the dream of a character.
I mean,
it's not like ultimately Homer is having this breakthrough that he's dreaming.
That's what really sucks about this is like, I took these notes for half an episode, and then I saw the dream thing coming right.
Yeah.
I think it was right when the psychedelic thing started. That's when I was like, oh yeah, the narcolepsy thing in the first act. All right, this is obviously all a dream.
Yep. I was about there.
And then I still kept taking notes, even so we could talk about it. But it felt futile because it's like, why should I comment on Marge's character choice when it's not a character choice? It's some dream.
Right.
But yeah, and just if to me it goes without saying. And we said it before in the podcast, but just to point out why it's all a dream ending is terrible storytelling. It's because basically there's no stakes, there's no motivations. There's nothing. Like I just said,
there's no point. There was no point
why
to anything
discuss
in this
why
episode.
Marge made this decision as a character when it wasn't her choice. It was either Homer's subconscious or her subconscious or Lena Dunham's or the baby Sinclair's subconscious. Whoever is the ultimate Tommy Westphalen, whoever's dream it is.
Right.
So there's lots of reasons why it's all a dream. Stupid.
So, but we talked about way back in episode 17 of our show when we did The Man Who Came to Be Dinner. We said that episode probably would have been better if it had been a dream. If they had set up this whole, if you remember,
because it's still
the vegetarian thing, and like Homer
yeah.
wakes up at the end if it's a dream and has learned something.
Right.
That's not what that episode is at all. They literally go into outer space and there's no through line at all. It could work.
It's in general you don't want to do it's all a dream. There's ways to make it work, and it definitely you should always have the character learning something from the dream, like Dorothy learning that it's better to be home and to appreciate what you've got, even though that's the movie.
That presupposes that it was a dream. Her time in Oz.
The books, it's not a dream. The movie makes it pretty clear it was a dream.
I don't know.
I know you don't know. You didn't write it or direct it. There's no proof otherwise.
That's right. But yeah, I mean,
it's terrible.
The fact that it's once they reveal the dream, there's like 4 minutes left in the episode. I completely checked out.
Yeah,
as soon as you realize it's a dream.
What's the point?
And then it's just 4 minutes of just being like, oh, it's another dream and it's somebody else's dream.
There's some things I want to talk about, like in terms of the mechanics of how they execute these dreams, but I'd rather do that as we get to that point.
Sure,
in the
absolutely.
Episode. Let's talk about voices.
Oh,
so.
Let's talk about voices.
No, not those. Remember, starting fresh. The first 50 were practice. Please don't turn.
Practice makes perfect, Jackie boy.
All right, I would like Hemus. I would hate Hemus slightly less if he talked only in maxims.
A bird in the hand is worth two in the bush.
I prefer that slightly to it's me, Hemus. I'll give you that. Anyway, let's talk about the voice acting.
It's me, Hemus.
Oh.
A stitch in time saves Hemus.
That's funny. That was my first maxim that I thought. That's like the go-to proverb there.
I guess.
So I mentioned while we were watching it, Julie Kavner's Marge sounded off. It sounded more like Julie Kavner than Marge. And I'm wondering if, they're getting up there in age. They're getting close to their 70s, if some of them are already in their 70s.
Yeah, Harry Shearer's 70 years old.
And I wonder if, just yesterday or today maybe, Al Jean said he sees a show going to season 30, which to me is no surprise. I know they're contractually...
they're contracted to season 28, and he said it might end at 28, but he wouldn't be surprised if it went to 30.
I wouldn't be surprised either, and it feels like a better way a rounder number. And I could easily see the show. I've always, even back in season 20, 21, 22, I always just had this feeling that the show wasn't ending in 2 years when the contracts were. It felt like, no, it's definitely going to be on for several more seasons. I feel like season 31 is the first one where even my gut's like, oh, probably not.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Can you imagine? Like, by season 30, they'll all be in their 70s or close to their 70s, and I'm wondering if like maybe we're gonna have 3-4 seasons now where some of the voice actors just don't have the voice down.
They don't have the capacity anymore.
Exactly, they are not
Yeah.
physically. My dad's a singer, and he can't hit the notes he used to hit when he was 58 years ago.
Yeah.
It's just that's how it's like you said. There's a physical capabilities of the throat and the larynx.
Right.
So I'm just like I don't know how I feel about that. It's kind of a bummer that if Marge is just gonna sound different.
Right, she just
Julie Kavner's got a great voice, but it's not Marge Simpson. It's Julie Kavner.
Right. Marge is usually more of a sweeter, kind of upbeat voice, and Julie Kavner is she sounds a little bit more like Selma.
Yeah,
or like Patty and Selma
and it's
is her
a little
normal
less
speaking voice.
animated. I can't picture a human with Marge Simpson's voice. I can't picture a human with Homer Simpson's voice. I can picture a human with Julie Kavner's voice. It's Julie Kavner.
Yeah.
If you want to see her and you don't want to watch Rhoda or whatever she was in, she was the love interest in New York Stories. She was Woody Allen's love interest in the Woody Allen written-directed segment.
There you go.
So there you go. You want to see Julie Kavner just talking Julie Kavner.
Just find Woody Allen.
I mentioned that because that was like the first time where I saw her for several minutes, and I was just like, this is weird. It's Julie Kavner's voice.
There you go.
But anyway, so that's a bummer. So I don't know. Maybe this is just a one-episode thing. Maybe she had a cold. But when I brought it up, you brought up Lenny.
Yeah, Lenny kind of just sounded like Harry Shearer talking.
Yeah, I'd say
not quite
that's
that
what you
bad.
said.
Yeah, not quite that bad.
Yeah,
but
and then it's somewhere in between though. It didn't sound like Lenny.
Like Lenny is more like wow, like this really high nasal voice, and he was much more like hey.
And Homer sounded the same as he's sounded the last 10, 15 years or so. Hank Azaria's, I would say, is probably the youngest cast member. He was like 23, 24 when he started in the first season as
Was
Mo.
he really?
Yeah, he's the baby.
He's about 50-something now, yeah.
Yeah, and he always
Gotta
felt
love
old
him.
to
He's the
us
baby.
because we were kids. Yeah.
Yeah.
And but no, he's probably he's a young guy. So maybe that's why his voice hasn't changed as much. And Nancy Cartwright's probably a little bit younger too. I think she was maybe 30, if not younger, when she started. Mm-hmm. But even there was a couple of Hank Azaria voices that just didn't quite sound right, like Carl and
right.
Maybe
I mean,
Mo.
Mo for a while has sounded a little
But I think it's just something that, like you said, the physical
That's
changes
just,
in the throat, and maybe you just forget after a while.
Jack, nothing gold can stay.
Does it depress
voices.
you that like 50 years from now, when we're still still doing some episodes of the show, you won't be able to quite get those Hemus notes?
I'm forever. I don't know what you mean.
That's not a maxim.
Hemus is eternal. Time flies when you're having fun.
Well, every time I have beer on my breath, you assume I've been drinking. Oh, that's a long one.
Okay, so Marge says to Homer, oh, if only you knew what it would be like to be married to you. And that sends Homer into this elaborate fantasy where he's in a church and he's marrying himself. What'd you think of that?
Terrible. Hated it.
Really?
Thought it was not funny.
I kind of liked it, actually.
We've seen gags before with Homer dressed up as a woman, or like the one part there was two parts that I didn't mind. One where he's like, "Don't forget about me, Homer the dog."
Right,
and then
the dog was so cute, though. I thought the animation of the sequence was very
My
good.
favorite part, if anything, was when it ended.
Yes.
But in all seriousness, it was when it was ended and Homer goes, "Paintings can't talk."
Yeah, right. A window. Yeah.
Yeah, windows can't talk.
Right. So Homer comes home to Marge, and I was gonna say that I thought it was weird that it was such a minor thing, but we already had that conversation. But I actually can't tell if I like this line or not.
I'll tell you.
Marge,
I will let you know.
Please
how
let me
you
know
feel.
how I feel about this line. Marge says to Homer, "Is that beer on your breath?" And he goes, "Why do you think every time I have beer on my breath, you assume I've been drinking?"
They do this kind of line a lot. This like wordplay line.
Yeah.
I like the idea behind it, but it didn't make me laugh. It's too easy, I guess.
It didn't make me laugh either.
Fruit.
But like, part of me was like, I know that's funny, but I'm just
maybe
not
because
laughing.
they do it all the time. I don't know.
All right.
I don't know how you feel. Can you tell me how I feel?
I think you feel confused.
How about this?
Because you don't know how I feel.
Let's just we'll find a happy medium. Let's say you liked it, and you tell me I didn't like it,
Okay, you didn't like it.
and you liked it. All right, that's satisfying.
But what did Hemus think of it?
No, we don't care. Nobody cares.
A bird in the hand's worth two in the bush.
Did that one already.
I can't think of any
There's
more.
more than 3 maxims out there.
Okay.
So they go to therapy. The therapist is played by who's there? Laura Ingalls Wilder.
Laura Ingalls Wilder. No, Laura Ingram, who is apparently the guest host of the O'Reilly Factor.
Okay.
And she's also got a radio show. I have no idea who she is. She's some sort of conservative pundit, I think.
Her voice acting wasn't bad, actually. She did a good job in not just reading off the cue cards as a special guest of The Simpsons.
Right.
So I appreciated that for what it's worth.
Right. Well, since we're speaking of special guests, let's talk about Lena Dunham. We kind of glossed over her first scene. She is the pharmacist
well,
at the pharmacy.
She only has like 2 lines in that first scene, and at first I was like, uh-oh, because her line deliveries were terrible. There was that very like staid like SNL host reading off the cue cards.
Like,
exactly. As maybe they don't record with other actors in the room. Who, for whatever reasons, it always comes. Even good actors sometimes just come off really just bad. And that was Lena Dunham in the first scene. I think once we started hearing her talk, I was like, all right, I misjudged. It wasn't that bad.
Yeah, I thought she was fine overall.
I hated her character. I mean, caricature.
Well, this was a very hateable episode in a lot of respects.
Yeah, I don't think it was her fault. I don't really know anything about Lena Dunham. I haven't seen an episode of Girls. I didn't see the movie Tiny Furniture. The only thing I know about her is from like pop cultural osmosis of other people talking about her.
I've seen a season and a half of Girls. At first, I hated it. I grew to kind of like it, and then I, for some reason, just haven't picked it up. There's too much on TV. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Lena Dunham, if you're listening to this.
Yeah.
But in general, I like it. I think she's not everyone's cup of tea, but sometimes she's just what you need.
Fair enough. Is that a maxim?
Is that a maxim? I don't know.
I don't think it is.
Hemus didn't say it, so it must not be. But yeah, overall, I thought she was okay in the episode. But I did kind of think it was weird. This is kind of an overall plot thing. It doesn't matter because ultimately this episode was a nothing that didn't matter because it was all a dream. But I thought it was strange that they get the separation and then Homer goes to the pharmacy and all of a sudden she's like, we should go out and like blah, 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 blah.
Yes.
I thought it would have made a little bit more sense if maybe in that first scene that she's in, they have like some kind of spark and maybe even they're spending some time together, not in a sexual way. And that's what causes Marge to start the separation. I thought that might have made a little more sense. But
maybe he asked for help. Like with the dose, like reading the dosages or something he would usually ask Marge for.
Like they had some kind of meet cute moment.
Yeah, exactly. They could have used a meet cute for sure. I agree. The first thing I thought was like, wow, she's. Homer literally says we're moving too fast, and I like that gag because apparently he's talking about she's walking too fast.
Yeah, physically she's walking too fast. Yeah,
I like that joke. And no, I thought the same thing. And now, again, it's all moot because it's baby Sinclair's dream.
Yeah, right.
But no,
love me.
I thought the same thing. It was just really shitty. And again, I did see a motivation there, and that's why I called her a drug addict. Because the one thing she seemed to like was that Homer was getting all these cool prescription drugs.
True. Yeah.
And then she like grabs the bag and she gives him the bag and she's just like, let's go have fun with these drugs. It was almost like she was literally using him for the drugs. I mean, I think that's more headcanon. I think I'm overthinking it. But
right.
It's funny
this whole episode was headcanon.
Yeah, it's funny that the only character motivation I could even grasp at is she
wants his drugs. Yeah, I mean, it was just.
It's marijuana sticks.
The structure, like, even in what we do get, the Marge line about smelling the beer on Homer's breath, we didn't even see him go to Moe's. Like, we don't see him drinking. He just comes home and Marge says it, and then he's out of the house.
Well, I like that. We touched on this last week, was it last week? How if there's one advantage a post-classic season should have over an earlier season is that they should take advantage of this built-in, the fact that we kind of know things and... we know Homer goes to Moe's. Yeah, we don't need to spend a scene there.
I don't know. It's just weird when the plot point was you have beer in your breath.
What you thought about the beer breath line.
You know what?
You liked it?
I liked the beer breath line. I thought it was a very strong point in the episode. And,
let me speak for you. You thought it was a very strong point in the episode?
I thought it was a very strong point in the episode.
You liked it.
And I liked it.
All right, the next note I have is one of those other all-encompassing notes, and it was Jerk-Ass Bart, and you mentioned a little earlier that he was in strong form this episode. And I think he needs to be talked about more because Jerk-Ass Homer... Yeah, but Jerk-Ass Bart, I think, should get a little bit more because he really is just such an asshole sometimes.
In this episode, he's like just really particularly terrible.
Like a fucking rectum between two cheeks with like a red shirt and sneakers, and
he's unplugging Homer's hospital bed.
I want to strangle him.
Yeah,
I feel like Paul Rudd in that strangling episode.
That terrible episode.
Just all we do is talk about for 50 episodes the strangling Bart, and now I just want to.
Now you've come on board to strangling Bart. Well, yeah, I think what you're talking about is when Homer leaves, he's like, finally, I've been waiting for this. Now I can like blame all my problems on my parents getting separated, and he like calls out to Flanders something
and
stupid.
I don't don't need him to like. I don't know. It should have been a little bit more gray. I'm sure you could put that into his characterization. Again, it doesn't matter because it's Baby Sinclair's dream.
Right.
But you could put a little bit.
I like how now it's definitively this is all the dream of the baby from Dinosaurs.
Of course. While he's like starving to death in the nuclear winter at the end of the
actual series Dinosaurs.
at the end of the series. So no, I mean, you could put it in like the perks of being a divorced kid or whatever.
That was the sequel to The Perks of Being a Wallflower.
Like off the top of my head, like the double Christmases and all that stuff. Right. So yeah, if you want to have Bart have mixed feelings, fine. But to just make him unapologetically just like, yay, my parents are getting divorced.
Right.
Like I don't think I'm speaking as biased as my parents are divorced. I don't think I'm being like butthurt over that. But is that a politically correct term? Butthurt?
I think butthurt is okay.
Yeah,
I thought it's just I hurt my butt.
I don't know.
Like I fell on my bottom.
Oh, is that what it is?
No, probably not.
It was this.
Oh, you're giving the marijuana stick into
butt.
two circular rocks together.
No, I don't think it's that. I don't know. You tell me how I feel about my parents getting divorced.
Well, I think you had complicated emotions about it for a long time, but you're okay with it now.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm glad you got closure. All right, the podcast is done, everybody.
That's what this was all leading up to. We were hoping to get it in under 50, but
you know what? It's
it was that empty nest episode. I love you, Mom and Dad.
Oh, boy. Hey, Jackie boy, we love you too. Going on a week cruise.
So I just hated drunk-ass Bart, and I hated that scene with him. Yeah. Although, again, sometimes good comes from bad. As much as I hated him being like happy about the divorce and like manipulating Flanders into giving him love or gifts or whatever it was.
Yeah, whatever it was.
I love that Flanders. So he goes, Flanders, I'm so upset. I need comforting right now. And Flanders goes, boys, get my tear dicky. It's just the Flanders saying tear dicky. It's just funny. And Harry Shearer, right. Maybe he forgot how to do Lenny or whatever reason, but he's
on point with Flanders.
Exactly, and that's if you got that, you got something.
Yeah, that's not nothing.
So Marge leaves him, like we said. Now he has to live in the power plant.
Right, and we get a sad montage of Homer being sad.
Yeah. What did you think of it?
As far as montages in later seasons go, it was not the worst I've seen. It was pretty enjoyable, I guess, as far as that would go. The one part of it that I really, really liked is Homer sets up this kind of domino of chairs, and he pushes one, and Mr. Burns walks by.
I'm sorry.
He pushes one, and Mr. Burns walks by, and so the force of all the chairs knocks Mr. Burns out of a window. I thought that was very funny.
That got the biggest laugh.
That was probably my biggest laugh
second
here.
viewing.
Yeah.
You really cracked up at that.
Did you not like that moment? Not talking about what happens right afterwards.
Right.
Just
him falling out.
Yeah.
I did not like it.
It was just funny because he's just innocently walking. Yeah. And, you know me. I like when people get hurt.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's really funny.
I don't know. I didn't elicit the same reaction from
right.
Him. I think I was already kind of like poo-pooed, I was just kind of like
you were so defeated by Act
like
One.
my nerves were kind of deadened, and I was just like primed to not really laugh. Although there's jokes I laughed at, like for instance when he wakes up or the next morning after the montage. He's late for work. He hits his alarm clock. It's 9:15, and Lenny and Carl walk by and say, "Oh, it's so sad. He's like living at work."
Right.
And the other one, I forget which one said which, says, he's still late.
He's still
for
late.
Work.
Yeah.
I like that.
Right.
Like, that's a funny idea. Homer lives in the power plant and is still late for work. So I cracked up with that. But back to the Burns thing. It was okay. I don't know. I think it was turned off by the fact that it was too silly. Like Burns dying, although he doesn't die.
Well, he doesn't die. We see him land in the arms of Mr. Burns statue, and I thought that was fine. End it there would have been great, but instead they do this thing which I didn't like so much, where he yells, "Smithers, come through my rectum." And
he doesn't say "come through my rectum." he said "grab my rear" or "come up my rear." It was the word "rear." It wasn't rectum. It's just I gotta draw. I don't want to defend the show.
It's because you said rectum earlier, and I'm now primed to think of rectums. Tell me, Jack, what do I think of rectums?
You love them.
Okay.
They damn near killed you.
Yeah, so Mr. Burns yells to Smithers. He says, "What is it? Come up through my rear."
Eat my butt. There's Samuel Jackson in True Romance going, I eat the butt, I eat everything.
Mr. Burns yells to Smithers. He says, "Come up through my rear and get me," or whatever.
Yeah, something.
You know,
yeah.
and the joke is Smithers like crawls into a hole that's in Mr. Burns' statue's butt. To me, it's just so forced. It was just like. That's not even subtext. It's like that's the text.
Well, it was.
It's kind of subtext,
when you say it like rectum, it's text. I don't know. I didn't have a problem with it. It was just the same old Smithers joke over and over. Like it got old 20 seasons ago.
Yeah.
You know, I love the first few. I love women and semen don't mix. And
that's a great joke. Yeah.
you know, I don't know, but I was actually thinking about. Was it? I guess the when Homer pulls a homer and saves a nuclear power plant. Is that the one where they all think they're gonna die, or maybe it's Bart's comet? Which one? When they all think they're gonna die, and Smithers goes, "Mr. Burns, I just want you to know I love you," and Mr. Burns goes, "Thanks for making it weird."
Yeah, right.
And I was just. Which do you know?
I think it's Homer defined.
All right, so I was just thinking about that episode today because I read that Smithers is going to be coming out in an upcoming, I thought he was out.
I also thought he was out. Wasn't he on the cover of Out magazine in the real world?
You don't have to be out to be on Out magazine.
Okay.
It's like
that explains why you were on the cover.
You don't have to be like a well-used proverb to be on the cover of Maxim. It could be Ariana Grande.
Oh, all right.
Anyway, I was thinking. So I heard the Smithers plot. First of all, yes, I was surprised that he was not out. I'm pretty sure he is.
Yeah.
2, it's like, why bother with an episode? It's you might as well do an episode about how the sky is blue. And then the third thought I had was like, again, we've talked about this many times before, and I won't go too deep into it, but just how the culture has changed in regards to how we treat gay culture.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking about thanks for making it weird. And like Mr. Burns is going to have another reaction.
That's
when
true.
he comes out, we're going to have to see what Mr. Burns' reaction is. And I'm very curious to see how different it will be. It can't be thanks for making it weird, because then we'd be shitting on it and being like, Mr. Burns, that's bigoted.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll be interesting. We'll have to, maybe we'll do that episode whenever it airs. It's sometime this season. But yeah, I'd be very curious to see how they handle it. Like, will that even be a plot point? How Mr. Burns handles this?
As long as you just,
I would assume that would be the core of the episode. But you know,
maybe who knows?
Who knows?
It's probably going to be like, it's going to be, or like Homer opens up a car wash and and somehow that
and
has...
Smithers just drives in and goes, "By the way, I'm a homosexual." And
I would love if, like, again, it's Al Jean really fluffing up the episode.
Yeah.
And it really is just like one line where Mrs. Burns is, by the way, Mr. Smith is like, by the way, I'm gay.
Yeah, that would kind of be fun, actually. The rest of the episode is Homer's car wash.
Speaking of Mr. Burns, then in that next scene again, where Lenny and Carl make the joke about him being late to work, Mr. Burns orders him to do some more work or whatever, and Homer goes, narcolepsy, and Mr. Burns goes, sorry.
Yeah, well, it was he didn't have his shoes on.
Yeah. And that was like to me, that didn't feel like classic Mr. Burns. Like, it was more modern a more modern type of diction or delivery, whatever you want to say, but I liked it. So it's like a good example of how the show can be different, and they can have iPhones or whatever, but it doesn't feel like the old Simpsons, but it's still funny. And I like that Mr. Burns line. I'm trying to give the show points where I can.
No, I like that line too. I thought it was.
Although it was a dream, technically it was Baby Sinclair's dream, so any of the good points we're making that takes place within the dream don't count.
So you don't get any credit, Simpsons writers.
Itchy and Scratchy?
Itchy and Scratchy made a huge appearance in this episode. I thought it was great.
Yeah, we haven't really seen a lot of new episodes with a real full-fledged Itchy and Scratchy.
The last time we saw Itchy and Scratchy was some sort of movie that maybe will be out soon.
Yeah, and it was great. It was a very funny, and not only was it a full Itchy and Scratchy cartoon, it was also tied directly into the plot.
Right into the plot,
which is what the classic Itchy and Scratchy always had. Something I didn't even realize until I was a little older. Like, I never quite, like, one day it just hit me. I was like, oh, all the Itchy and Scratchies have the same plot as the actual episode.
Or at least tied in somehow.
It took me, I watched I must have watched every episode like 30, 40 times before that it kicked in like a few years ago.
You find new things every time you watch these episodes. Yeah, and I liked how it was animated. They had all these kind of friends. They weren't like Ku Klux Klan or Uncle Ant. It was like new characters, and I thought they all looked cute. Like there was a big hippo. He was cute.
A hippo policeman just works. Yeah,
it just always works. Now let's talk about. They go out to the bar.
Let's talk about that.
They go out to the bar, and they start taking drugs together. Homer has a drug trip in this episode.
Yeah.
That's something that happens. Season 27, that's where we're going. What did you think about it?
It was very pretty.
It was very pretty. I thought it really
the
looked
animation
well.
was fun.
It really
I feel
worked.
like the HD era. This is something I noticed with the whale episode.
Yeah.
The HD era seems to it's just the colors and the bright colors. These type of sequences really benefit from the HD. Although who knows? Maybe they'd be more. Maybe if there was a way to have that plus the multiple frames we talked about earlier, where you don't just have A to C, but you see A1, A2, A3, B1, B2, B3, C1, C3 of frames to give it some fluidity. Maybe it would be better that way. So I don't want to say it's definitely better. Anyway, point is, it was very
cool.
pretty.
It was very colorful.
But it didn't make me laugh at all once.
Well, I don't know if that was supposed to. I mean, there weren't a lot of jokes in it. There were a lot of callback kind of references to it.
Here's one of my. Ooh, shit.
Well, did you see that the coyote from Homer's Dream was part of it? He was one of the tattoos.
I didn't see that
Smiling
one.
Joe Fishing was there.
I saw there was a few references. I saw Fishbulb and.
Right. A few references to animated.
Yeah, that's for the
hallucination
fans.
characters.
It's fun to put in those little Easter eggs for the fans, but you can't subsist off of Easter eggs. You gotta have the actual.
You have to have Easter ham.
Dinner. Yeah, you gotta have the ham and the duck and mashed potatoes.
But that wasn't the joke. I don't think
that's what I'm saying.
A joke.
It wasn't the joke. It was it's nice
was
to have
just
the
an
Easter eggs,
animated sequence.
So, but I still want a joke. Here's an animated dream sequence. That I don't know if it's my favorite, but it's the first one that came to my head, and it's definitely up there.
Okay.
So let's make this the bar, at least for me, personally speaking. It is when, again, Homer
falls asleep. Is that where you're going?
Homer's having trouble
That's
sleeping.
That's a classic one, yeah.
And he falls asleep while driving, and the moon is smiling at him. The moon has a face, and he's on a cloud, and angels pick him up. There's lots of trippy things going on there. But they also set the mood. The music was all there. It was dreamy.
That's not a joke until he comes out of the fantasy, and it turns out he's still driving his car.
But
and
it's still
lives.
funny to see the moon smiling on him, and you're not going ha ha ha, but it's amusing. It's not just weird for weird's sake.
This is amusing in the same way. We're seeing the lights and Patty and Selma. And there's all this glitter.
All right, so this did you see those? Do you watch The Sopranos?
I've seen most of it.
Do you remember the test dream from season 3? Very famous episode where Tony has this very long. It's a 15-minute dream sequence where he's thinking about killing Big Pussy.
Yes,
and it's it's really weird, trippy dream imagery.
Yeah, I remember.
So that's it's not funny, but they're having fun with it. Now, compare that to a 2001 Space Odyssey trippy scene, the scene at that end, where it's really cool looking and it's really good, and you're not taking any points away from it. It's a memorable sequence, but it's not fun. Yeah.
I guess.
So that's what I'm saying. This
This had less
classic
fun.
Simpsons with the moon and the angels and Homer sleeping in the car. That's fun. It's not funny, but it's fun. This wasn't fun to me. It was nice to see those Easter eggs, see Smiling Joe Fission and stuff, but it wasn't fun.
I'll give you that the Homer falling asleep at the wheel in I think it was Lisa's Pony was the episode.
Mm-hmm.
That's more fun, but I did still think that this was a fun sequence.
Okay. I'm
gonna rank this pretty high on
tell me how
production.
you feel about this sequence.
I think that I feel pretty good about it.
All right, I will tell you how I feel. I think that I feel that it wasn't fun.
All right, I'm glad we got that out of the way. Now I'm going to tell you what I think that you feel. I think that you feel it was a good sequence.
I think we should preface every single sentence of this podcast with "I think" or "I feel."
From now on, I think from now on we should do that.
I think so as well.
I think we're going to move on to the next scene.
I think this is getting old.
Yeah.
So now we're seeing their relationship, Lena Dunham and Homer's relationship. They're hanging out with their friends and stuff. And before we get into those specifics, I want to talk about the plot. I like the idea of a Simpsons plot. I feel like I've been saying this the last few weeks. I think it's a good idea for a Simpsons episode to do something universal that they haven't done before. And the idea of a divorced man or an older middle-aged man dating somebody younger
girl.
and then it's not the age difference. It's more that you have to adopt that social. You're entering a completely different social sphere.
Right.
Well, obviously we're still relatively young and we've been in long-term relationships, so we haven't really dated anybody much younger. So let's pretend not that we're dating somebody 10 years younger. Let's pretend if we were dating somebody just in a completely different social circle. Imagine.
Okay, if I was dating Ariana Grande.
Yeah, exactly. Or if you were dating somebody who didn't like science fiction or comic books.
Which I'm going to guess Ariana Grande does not.
So So I like the idea of that's a great character-based plot to have somebody who likes this person and in order to be with this person has to do this whole other bigger thing that's really not connected. And that's a great idea, and and that's just very smart. And even not smart, just a wordy way of saying it's a great idea to have an older man trying to be with these young, cool kids. Great plot. I don't want to see it with Homer because obviously I don't think a Homer and Marge divorce plot is going to work.
Viable.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe either you like Kirk and Luann are back together again, so Kirk's not your go-to guy. But I would have liked to have. This could have been a great secondary character plot. Maybe a Pooh and Manjula. I mean, that's kind of disrespectful, I guess, to Jan Hooks if you just write her out of the show by having him leave her.
Yeah, but there's no other like happy married or not even unhappy married couples.
And like I feel like Flanders you can't really do because
his wife is long dead.
And his second wife just died. So so I guess there's really no great character to do it with. But I think it would have been a great Simpsons plot if there was a character to do it.
How about this? What if
it was Smithers? What if Smithers comes out and he's dating a much younger man, and instead of making the episode about "Ooh, Smithers is gay," which is something we've known for 2 decades, what if you made it about here's an older guy who has to get in with the younger crowd, and the gay part's barely even part of the plot. It's really more of the age difference.
That could work, but what I was going to suggest was, let's say, for the sake of argument, that season 27 was the last season of The Simpsons. Mm-hmm. What if they had done a season-long arc kind of a thing? Not necessarily every episode is, serialized, but every episode there's an ongoing through line where Homer and Marge, the end of the premiere, Marge asks for a separation, and that kind of like runs through the whole episode.
And they're separated the entire time?
They're separated the entire time, presumably at the finale.
I was thinking about that exact same thought while I was peeing in between after watching the show and before we started recording it.
Jack's pee thoughts.
And again, bringing it back to Sopranos. Sopranos did that. Season 5, they spent the entire season split up, Carmela and Tony.
Right. But The Sopranos is a different style of show.
And that's exactly what I told myself. I was like, no, that wouldn't work because The Sopranos is a much more mature, complex show.
Yeah.
Not even the serialized. It's just, I don't want Homer and Marge split up for a season. Even if it is only 1/27th of the entire run, it's not The Simpsons.
Yeah.
That's the Homer and Marge show.
I guess,
I don't want that. I want The Simpsons.
Well, the Homer and Marge show is better than the Homer show, and he's a jerk ass.
No, I know. I mean, we say we like experimenting.
I think it would be interesting. I don't know if it would be better. I don't know if it would be better or worse or good or bad.
Man,
but
that's
I think
a lot.
It would be
That's a lot. The 25 episodes to experiment with is a lot to gamble with if the experiment goes wrong.
Right. Well, maybe they get back together in mid-season and then something else happens. I don't know.
Yeah, it would have been interesting.
You do a 5A or a season A.
No, you're right.
B
it could have been even 3 episodes. Like that's a movie length right there. Maybe, that could have been a movie plot. The Simpsons movie 2.
Yeah.
See, if they did that for the Simpsons movie 2 plot, especially if assuming the Simpsons movie 2 is probably going to come out after the show is wrapped up, maybe you have that slight threat that they just don't get back together because it's the last episode.
Yeah.
So that would have been better, but
Jack,
they blew it.
What did we think of the Simpsons movie, the first one?
Well, if you want to know, there's a certain commentary track coming out.
Coming soon, eh?
Coming soon, where you can purchase it. And listen, and you will hear our thoughts. I say how I feel about the movie, and you say what you feel about that episode movie. It's me, you, and Sideshow Mel.
Me, you, and Sideshow Mel.
Nobody's gonna get that. Like even our regular listeners are gonna have to think about it for a minute. Go, that's right. They did.
There was a Sideshow Mel thing where they were both talking, and
they did
it kind of made
a couple
sense.
episodes. 6 months
I think
ago.
I'll stop listening to this podcast.
They all said in unison.
Yeah. They did. So, Jack, I know you don't watch Girls, as we said earlier, but
or the show or the gender.
You're missing out. You should watch some Girls.
I just have to keep my eyes closed 50% of the time.
You don't watch Girls, but the entire cast of Girls was basically in this episode. We see, what was her name? Candace was the pharmacist?
Yes.
We meet her friends, and it is the same exact actresses from Girls who are Hannah's friends.
I'm sure if I watched the show, I'd be a little bit more excited about that.
Well, I wasn't necessarily excited. When I watched it the first time, I was just like, oh, it's a cast of Girls.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They didn't really do anything. They were kind of just acting as themselves.
Yep.
Or as their characters on Girls.
I mean, I guess if you need other 20-somethings, millennials, and you don't really have any...
get the guest stars buddies.
We've mentioned how Springfield has no millennials, so I guess that's who you use.
True.
I guess you got to import some from another show.
Yeah. Remember
Yeah.
way back in our second episode where we did that one where Bart committed voodoo, and they just had to bring in these random characters having babies because they have no one of childbearing
the weird
age.
Springfield millennials.
Yeah.
Listen back if you haven't listened. Listen to episode 2. And,
Oh, yeah.
and hear about that. So they go real quick. We'll just bang through this because it doesn't matter. But they go on a double date with Marge. Marge is dating Candace's father, and they go on a double date.
Yeah,
And like,
we glossed over something that's kind of important before we knew it was a dream. Where
Yeah.
Homer has sex with this girl. It's not shown,
Yeah.
obviously,
Yeah.
but it's
He spends the night.
They go on the drug bender, and then he wakes up in her bed the next
this
morning.
was when
and
I,
they're both naked.
so I was thinking to myself, all right, did they have sex, or maybe he just
Yeah.
passed out? And then once that's when I realized, all right, it's
That's when
definitely
I realized it's a dream,
because
for
that's
sure.
that's your easy out.
They would never do that.
Right. I mean, I thought maybe they were gonna, and I was like, because I heard the hullabaloo about this episode, so I thought maybe they'd cross that line. Oh, actually, I don't even think I wrote this down, but real quick.
Yeah.
So when he puts his shirt back on after doing it with her,
Yeah.
he puts it on backwards, and it looks like a turtleneck, and then he slides it around, and you see it's the collar. I really like that animation. That was a smooth move that I'm not sure. I guess you could do it if it was hand drawn. It feels like something
Yeah,
that's
I guess you
easier
could
to do
have.
with the computer, the zeros and ones.
You just rotate the
They
shirt model.
Rotate shirt. Dot,
Axis Z
dot,
will
beep,
rotate
boop, bop.
again, and the Daleks will take over.
So I like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, they had sex, I guess.
Yeah, I just-
Baby Sinclair is imagining Homer having sex.
I guess we didn't bring it up because it's nothing but a dream and it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
But in the moment, it
Yeah.
felt super weird.
Well,
and
that's what I
strange.
wanted to bring up. Speaking about not mattering, the only thing of note in that double date scene with the father and Lena Dunham's character and Homer
Right, it's
Marge,
revealed that Marge is dating Lena Dunham's
and not only
character's
that,
father.
he proposes to her,
Yes.
and she accepts. She says,
Right.
"Once the divorce is final, I accept." And I was, even though I knew it was a dream, I still bothered to write down. I was like, "This is terrible characterization."
Yeah.
I love that Marge left Homer for being a jerk ass, but I wouldn't buy that she's like would marry a guy in 3 weeks. It would be that easy, and blah 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 blah. It
Yeah.
was just bad characterization. I just feel like I should say it. Obviously, it doesn't matter because it was a dream.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this weird. This is where the show goes caca goo goo, it goes gaga goo goo.
Gaga goo goo.
Carl,
I'm the baby, gotta love
I
me.
was doing like when Carl's. That's one of my favorite lines when Homer's fat, king size Homer, and
Oh, yeah.
the machine is like over. He stopped hitting YYY.
Oh, this thing went gaga goo
Yeah.
goo. Yeah, I got you. now.
It's one of my favorite
All
lines. Anyway, so Homer wakes up and it's all a dream, and he's actually they're back in the therapist's office.
Yeah.
And the first thing I thought was, so I actually I saw it was a dream. I saw it coming a mile away.
Yep,
So
me too.
I actually did like the twist when you find out that was a dream within a dream before it turned out to be a dream within a dream within a dream. But like the first, I was like, oh, okay, they got me, because I really thought he woke up. But I thought it was anticlimactic. I was just like, oh, and I thought it needed to be louder. Like, oh, it was all a dream. It was kind of like I feel like somebody who wasn't paying attention, or like if my grandma was watching or something, who's 99 and like, yeah, she's a smart lady, especially for 99, but she can't quite keep up with the Nolan-esque plots. So she would be confused by this because
Right, I'm sure she would.
It was very subtle almost in the way it's just like, oh, it was all a dream and he's still in the therapist's office. You had to do a little mental math to really keep up.
You had to
I think.
remember things that
Exactly,
happened
yeah.
20 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Which in today's ADD culture, no one can burrito
Yeah, so I thought
a
it was-
kumquat. Wait, what was I saying?
So I thought it was a little anticlimactic, but again, none of this matters.
No, none of it matters. And I wrote that I totally checked out as soon as it's revealed as a dream. Both times I watched it.
But in that anticlimactic, since you checked out, did you notice they go, oh, I must have fell asleep during this therapy session. And they're like, what were you dreaming about? And he goes, well, Marge, of course. And he looks at the camera and winks.
Yeah.
No.
No.
Bad. Bad Homer.
Yeah, I mean, I don't usually like the meta humor. That was certainly
And
something I
I'm
didn't
easier
like.
on it.
Yeah, well, I think it can work, but in the universe, what the fuck is Homer doing? Someone should have called him out. Like,
Yeah.
why are you staring into space?
Yeah, and just, come on, the turn and wink. Sometimes it's
But
funny.
even that has been done to death.
Yeah, you can make it work, but...
Yeah.
Like, I guess it's my job. But
Yeah, right. Well, that makes sense because the joke was
Right,
he
right,
was
right.
just staring into space.
No, that was terrible.
Yeah. In fact, the only thing I liked in this entire last act here was so Homer wakes up and he's in the therapist's office, but then he wakes up again and he's still in the first dream with Lena Dunham's character. They're still together.
Yeah.
I didn't like that. I hated that I actually really disliked that they went back into the same dream.
I was
that doesn't make any
worried.
fucking
I was
sense.
worried that you were going to find out that he he was like some of the reality had still happened, and that he just dreamt later than we originally had suspected. I thought, oh man, the episode is going to end with them still together. And
Yeah,
separated.
well, I guess that would have been good if it was a fake out that turned out to
Right.
be like a double fake out, but instead it's a quintuple fake out, and it's just
and then it just loses all meaning.
there's just fake out fatigue.
Yeah.
But no, when they're back together, she's like she brings him a beer and she makes a crack about it being like a blue ribbon winner in 1890, which is a joke about PBR and hipsters and such. But he's like, I gotta go get Marge, and he runs away, and she's like, but wait, I got you a beer, and he runs back and he grabs the beer and runs away again. I just like that one moment.
Yeah.
I didn't even like it enough to just explain the 5 minutes that it just took me to explain it. So
Like we said, so that was a dream within the dream. Then Marge wakes up. It turns out to be Marge's dream, and Marge goes, oh, I guess it was my dream.
right, and then we pull out from like the Simpsons in their bed, and it's a tattoo on Hannah, the character from Girls'
what?
back.
I don't think this was intentional or anything, but that when it pulls out, and it's not even a dream within a dream. It's I guess all right. So she was dreaming. Lena,
Well, she wasn't even dreaming. She was just telling Adam, the other character from Girls, like
Where
about the tattoo.
Yeah, so like
and she's like,
it's
and that's
not
why
a
you
dream
never
within
fall
a
asleep in
dream. It's a
Brooklyn.
story about the origin of the tattoo, or the
Right.
tattoo is enacting the dream, or whatever.
But
anyway, whatever that transition was, it reminded me of Waking Life, the
the Richard Linklater movie.
Just for whatever reason, I don't know if that was intentional, but it just kind of maybe it was just because it was a young couple in bed talking about dreams, which happens several times in Waking Life.
I don't think it was intentional.
And
but Waking Life's a great movie.
And Waking Life's like a rotoscoped animated movie,
Yep.
and then this was zooming out of like a tattoo. For whatever reason, it brought that up to my mind. I don't think it was intentional.
I don't think it was intentional either. But if you've never seen Waking Life and you enjoy crazy
it's a great
animation
movie.
and
It's a
philosophy,
great
it's a
movie.
fantastic movie.
And again, a movie is a loose word. It's basically reading a philosophy book, but out
Right,
loud. But that's fun too. If you're like me,
yeah, it's a solid, solid movie.
I think that you like Waking Life.
I think I do too.
Yeah.
And I think I like that you like that I like Waking Life.
And I think we should rank this episode, but just in case it wasn't clear, if you didn't somehow watch the episode, and I'm sure you're totally lost if you didn't, so that's where it ends. It ends with the two characters from Girls, Lena Dunham and Darth Vader Jr.
Adam Driver. Don't spoil it. Wait a minute. Luke is Darth Vader Jr.
He doesn't like to be called that.
Spoiler alert
He
for
doesn't
a
like to be called that.
45-year-old movie, 35-year-old movie.
Spoiler alert for Boffo Bucks.
Yeah.
We call Luke Skywalker Darth Vader Jr. the entire time.
He goes, don't call me that.
I told you I don't want to wear the damn mask.
I got you one of those beers you enjoy unironically. This one a blue ribbon in 1890? What does that mean?
So
All right.
yeah, so it ends with real quick. So it ends with
And
the dream within the dream. The top dream seems to be the two characters from Girls.
Right, so nothing,
whatever.
Everything's made up and the points don't matter.
Exactly, just like our
Just
rankings.
like our ranking system, which we're going to do. It's time to rank this episode on our scale. We're looking at the humor, the integrity, the production, and the originality of the episode. Our hippo scale, may she ever...
Not the police hippo,
faithful, not
from
the-
Itchy and Scratchy.
Not that hippo. Okay, so we're going to put some time on the clock.
Do-do-do-do-do.
And we're going to rank this from a 0 to 5, 0 being the worst, 5 being the best, 2.5 being in the middle. Jack, what do you think about the humor of this episode?
I mentioned a few things I liked. 2.
2 seems high. I don't know.
That's because you've been
Jack, what did I
having
like?
a lot of marijuana sticks.
What did I like
what
in
did
this
you,
episode?
What did you, Dan Mullo, like
I
about
liked
this
Mr.
episode?
Burns getting pushed out the
You liked
window.
Mr. Burns getting pushed out the
That was
window.
kind of
You
it.
liked when he ran back for the beer.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
I would say
feel like
you'd give this a 1.5.
I'm going to give it a 1.5 for now. I may go down to a 1. I don't know.
may.
I may.
Go
May,
down.
may I? May I? I was going to say, may I go down, but that didn't sound right. Integrity of this episode. So, this episode doesn't really exist.
Yeah, so the integrity is basically Lena Dunham.
It's an
character
imaginary
in
story,
Girls.
but aren't they all?
I really liked Marge's breaking point. That she leaves jerk-ass Homer. But there's a lot of jerk-ass Homer, and there's a lot of jerk-ass Bart. I'm going to give this I was going to say 0.5, maybe a 1.
I'm giving
That
it a
might be
0.5.
generous.
Beca-
0.5. You're
Almost
right.
entirely because of the dream sequence stuff. The production values of this episode. What do you think here?
Yeah, I liked the dream sequence.
Notwithstanding what we talked about in the beginning, where now that it's computer animated, it looks a little flatter, and they don't have the same motion flare.
I'm not gonna. You can't. That's a season. That's a multiple season wide thing. I'm not gonna take points away for that.
Well, I did think it looked especially flat in the very beginning of the episode, but I also thought a lot of the sequences were really well done. I liked the drug trip more than you. I liked Homer's fantasy thing more than you.
Voice acting is included in here, and it remains to be seen whether this is a long-term problem of Julie Kavner and Harry Shearer losing the track of their deliveries.
I think I'm gonna go fairly high. I'm gonna say 3.5. This is definitely gonna be the highest mark I give this episode.
Yeah, marijuana's high. 2.5.
Rolling your dooblers.
2.5.
All right, and finally, the originality of the episode. What are we thinking? It's original, I guess, to have an Inception-style...
Well, it's not. We already covered an Inception-style episode, and that sucked, too.
It was not a good one.
Couldn't even be original and not sucking like the other one. I like the idea of a middle-aged guy. Again, Homer's 38. He's not middle-aged, but...
Right. Yeah, there's a couple of good ideas in this episode. Homer gets narcolepsy is kind of... I don't think that's a good plot. I don't know.
No. They did, we've seen... If you wanted to see a comedy version of narcolepsy, it's Rowan Atkinson's performance in the hit movie Rat Race.
Oh, absolutely. A classic. I'm going 1. Flat 1. What do you got, Pacone? You got 1 in your name.
I'm torn between 1 and 1.5.
Okay, so we have crunched our numbers, and the season premiere of season 27, Every Man's Dream, has ranked pretty low. We are saying it is a worse episode than Saddle Sore Galactica, but a better episode than Love is a Many Strangled Thing.
Okay, that's a good spot.
That puts it, I think, at number 11.
So Saddle Sore Galacticas are like... Now,
that was a benchmark for a long time.
Yeah, and that was our first worst episode ever. And now there's 9 that are worse than 10.
There's more than that. There's 11 that are worse than that.
It's kind of crazy to think that was the episode that broke The Simpsons for you, and that 1/5 of the episodes we've covered so far are
worse than that one. Yeah. Okay, so thanks everybody for listening to Worst Episode Ever and sharing the podcast. We appreciate that. If you have a Simpsons episode that you would like to suggest we watch, maybe a good one, we wouldn't mind watching a good one every once in a while. You can do that on our website. We have a form you can fill out. It's weepodcast.com. That's WEE podcast.com. And while you're there, you can get to our Twitter page, our Facebook page, our subreddit, and what else can you go to? There's other stuff. Twitter, you can go to our Amazon links, of course.
Amazon links.
We love our Amazon links. You guys just, you're great about that. You click through the links, the banners, and you just shop like you normally would, and then that helps keep the podcast free.
And we're obviously we're trying to raise money to pay for the expensive bandwidth. And we came up with another way to try to raise some money.
Yes.
So instead of shopping just for yourselves and us taking a small cut, now you can buy something directly from us.
Well, not yet you can, but you will be able to.
Right.
You will buy...
In like 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
In like 2 or 3 weeks, we are going to release our Simpsons commentary track for the movie. It's going to be better than 10 Super Bowls. And that's going to be $2. That'll be great. It's a commentary track designed to be, you're designed to be watching the movie while you're listening to it. You know how commentary
It's just,
track works.
we want to say DVD commentary, because that's what a commentary is.
But these millennials don't know about digital video discs.
We wanted to do a VHS commentary.
We did. But you don't have to watch it with the movie. It's intended to. You could probably just enjoy it as an extra long episode that has bits of silence. So that's that. If you're listening to this the day it comes out, October 1st, it is Simpsons Trivia in Brooklyn. It's at Berry Park. I co-host that with friend of the show, Dan Ozzie. And tonight is our costume contest. So I will definitely be putting up photos probably on our subreddit, which is r/worst episode ever. That you guys can see that if you can't make it out. And if you live in other fine cities in North America, there might be a Woohoo Classic Simpsons Trivia near you. So just Google Woohoo Classic Simpsons Trivia for more information about that. Okay, Jack. You know what? This was such a good start to this 50. We're going to do another one. We're going to do a 50-second episode. That's going to be next week. And we are going to watch an episode from season 19 called Little Orphan Millie. I think it's about Milhouse.
Well, we picked it because we just saw Homer and Marge almost divorce, and this one is supposedly where Kirk and Luann get back together for goodsies.
Oh, okay.
So, and supposedly it's not a bad episode, and we kind of could use a palate cleanser.
Yeah, we could use something good. Okay, so that's what we're going to do that next week.
And that's about it. Submit your cats if you haven't, and the guy that submitted it this week is Daniel Watts. So take it away.
Take it away.
Daniel Watts.
Toys.
Dan, how do you feel about Daniel Watts taking it away?
I feel pretty good about it.
Hello, I am Homer Simpson. And with a little help from my dearest friend, this guy.
I'm Daniel Watts, from the UK. I started watching...
That's boring. You're boring, everybody. Quit boring, everyone.
Anyway, we're here to say...
I'm here to say...
Well, both of us.
Cut all this.
Yeah. Cut all this. Thanks, everyone.
So long, losers!